Rama Rama Hare Hare. Kim Ridanga, nobody else knows how to play here. Oh, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Don't touch anything. Hare Krishna. Oh. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is chapter 6 entitled Jnana Yoga. Text 31. Okay, before we do that, let's offer invocation prayers and say something about today's day. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-shalaka Chakshunalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu-vaya Krishna-vishnu-vaya Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvan Prachanda Visheshashna Vashchasya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. So today is Ananta Chaturdashi Vrata, which means that this day Lord Vishnu appeared in the universe. Oh, that's interesting. So how to understand that, how to conceptualize that, that might be a little bit challenging, but Lord Vishnu reveals himself, and even if there is nobody else to record that, then Vishnu himself will explain and reveal whatever has to be revealed about his appearance or existence. So that's why it is revealed that on this day, it's this kind of moment of time, he had appeared in the universe on the Ananta Shesha, which is Ananta, is Balaram. So it's a very auspicious day. And of course, another more important even reason for us to value this day is disappearance of Haridas Thakur. I think even of Kavi Karnapur, who was one of the very close associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very exalted personality, but Haridas Thakur was and still is more prominent because he is Nama Acharya of the process that we are following, chanting of the holy names. And he was just, apparently, it seemed like he's just some kind of unqualified personality from some different points of view, predominantly the social point of view. because he didn't appear in some kind of apparently exalted personality. Appeared as an exalted personality, appeared in an exalted family or background. So that's another reason that we learn that we should never judge anyone on some kind of external basis only. External basis may sometimes mean something, but it has to be in relationship to the scriptures. It has to be seen, again, also appropriately. But the essence is the internal state, it's the internal state of consciousness. So Haridas Thakur, although born or appearing in Mohammedan family, which may immediately kind of cloud someone's mind, but he is Namacharya. He's Acharya of the whole process for this age of Kali. And of course, if we are so shallow and so superficial, then we definitely won't understand his position, because that's usually what we see. We just see something that is immediate. We don't see anything beyond. We see something that is temporary, something that is, again, external. But that's a very low type of vision and understanding and consciousness. So we know who is Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is Lord Brahma himself. When we hear, what about that? What about that? He can appear in any way, and he can appear in any form, and it just doesn't matter. If somebody carries certain potency and represents something, that is what is important. That's what is important to learn in the spiritual life. They're not just some kind of externals, and we think this is all that it is. That's very, very ignorant way of perceiving and understanding anything. So then how was Haridas Thakur so exalted and so attractive to everyone and so influential? Because he had that purity to induce others to chant the holy names and to give them faith to take to this process. He was born, he appeared in what is nowadays Bangladesh. And then even in a young age, very soon, he crossed what we would now say the border. At that time there was no border. It was all Bangladesh, it was all Bengal basically. And he came to Shantipur. And even before he came to Shantipur, he made his residence at Fulia. Fulia, it's also very close by. It's all in Navadvip, Mandal, Pakram. It's all in Mayapur, West Bengal. And he started chanting the holy names of Krishna. And then he met Advaita Acharya, who is another Acharya. That's just materially or socially completely contrary, having a position contrary to the position of Haridas Thakur. He was one of the most exalted and revered brahmanas in the society. And then Advaita Acharya immediately recognized that this person is not an ordinary person. He's very, very extraordinary. Even to the extent that he offered him Shraddha, which is supposed to be offered to the most, another type of or different exalted personality. But he offered it to Haridas Thakur in spite of so many other brahmanas being present, to signify that actually this is the position of Haridas Thakur. He is not what everybody externally may consider him to be. So how do we know that Haridas Thakur is such an exalted personality? There are so many different instances through which he exemplified that he can do what nobody else can. And some of those instances, one of them, the most prominent story that we usually hear, it's being beaten on 22 marketplaces, where a certain Muslim ruler of that place became very envious of Haridas Thakur, that how is it you're Mohammedan and you're practicing someone else's religion, You should be practicing your own religion. Why you are chanting this Hare Krishna mantra? And then this person complained to the local Nawab, I mean whatever, Qazi, and then Nawab, and then both of them, it's like they threaten Haridas Thakur, saying that you should practice your own religion. How come you're not practicing? Then Haridas Thakur replied, well, there's sometimes Yavanas become and follow Hindu religion, and sometimes some Hindus, they become Yavanas. And so what is so unusual about it? This is what happens. I said, I can't stop this chanting. Even if I want, my whole body vibrates along this Hare Krishna mantra. So then, being very enraged at such statements of Haridas, who didn't want to comply with their demands, they then sentenced him, saying that we'll beat you in 22 marketplaces. Of course, many times to set the example for others, usually such kind of public, either executions or punishments have been orchestrated. But even if he wouldn't, even if he would die earlier, it didn't matter. Because to be beaten to death practically, it doesn't have to take 22 marketplaces, it can take one marketplace. So then all these different guards have been appointed, they dragged him and on all these most hideous, atrocious activities upon Haridas Thakur, but nothing happened to Haridas Thakur. Then they dragged him to another marketplace. Other people can see, and nothing again happened to Haridas. And so many marketplaces, and all of these guys can be so exhausted and fearful that what is going on? Nothing. Haridas Thakur is still alive. So then Haridas Thakur, taking compassion upon them, that they don't get threatened, that they didn't perform their duty of killing him, then he entered into samadhi and pretended to be dead. And then it was declared, because it was not a good Muslim, which usually would be buried, and said, okay, just throw him in the Ganga. Just throw him in the Ganga. So that was mercy of Haridas Thakur. And then he was mercy towards those even who were inflicting so much trouble to him. I wouldn't say pain, because trouble, because he didn't feel any pain. That's another miracle of Haridas Thakur. And enormous ability of Haridas Thakur. Because when he was thrown in the Ganga, then he floated down, came to the same place, Fulya. And then when he floated up to the bank, then immediately just came out, raised his hand and said, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna. And later on, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met him, then he said, my dear Haridas, I was the one who protected you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing the marks on his back. I was the one who was taking beatings. But because you were so, I would have immediately sent my chakra chop off all these miscreants. But because of your mercy, they've been all saved actually. So that's the mercy and compassion of Haridas Thakur. So then those Muslims, when they saw and heard Haridas Thakur being still alive, and then they realized how saintly personality there is, and they begged forgiveness. And Haridas Thakur forgave them. Forgave them for what they did. And then another time, one Brahmana was criticizing Haridas Thakur, saying that how can you expound the glories of the holy name? Holy name should be chanted silently. That is a misconception. That it's so holy that only those who are very qualified, they can utter the name of God. Why are you chanting loudly? Why are you performing Kirtan, Harinam? So I was criticized. And then Haridas Thakur explained, this is Yoga Dharma. And if I chant for myself, then only I will benefit. What about other living beings? What about birds? What about plants? What about animals? What about other people? They'll also benefit if they hear the holy name. So holy name should be chanted loudly. And by chanting the holy name, one can instantly gain liberation. And then this man, so-called Brahmana, just became ferocious actually. He said, she closed his ears saying, what am I hearing? What am I hearing? What a blasphemy of the scriptures. It is a fact. It is said that in Kali Yuga, even Shudra will recite the Vedas. That's his argument. And then actually it was a fact that in Kali Yuga, some Brahmanas, some Rakshasas will be born in Brahmin families. That's also a fact. So then what happened? 3 days later, that person contracted leprosy and had to undergo severe reactions. And then another time, Haridas Thakur lived in a little cave, which was underneath a big tree, but there was a hole where poisonous cobras lived. And then all the other devotees were very fearful of meeting Haridas Thakur because there was that snake. So then Haridas Thakur ordered that snake that you better leave because devotees cannot come here. Because if you don't leave, then I will immediately leave. I won't stay in this place. And then what happened? That snake complied, responded immediately, and just left. And all the devotees were in shock and wondered, wow, how is this possible? Anyway, there are many pastimes. Haridas Thakur is not an ordinary living being, just like, as I said, we may perceive it from an external point of view. He is Namacharya, that means somebody who presents, who gives, who blesses one with the process of this age of Kali, which is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
So on this day, he left this world in a very amazing manner. It said he was just like Bhishma. He wanted to live before his Lord. He wanted to be conscious of his Lord while being present. Just like Bhishma, when Krishna was present, Krishna was focusing his eyes, his consciousness, his mind fully on Krishna, so that he leaves his body Krishna conscious. So in the same way, Haridas Thakur passed by being conscious of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this day. And we can see why he is Namacharya, because he had so much taste for chanting. We think we are so great and wonderful, then what kind of chanting are we doing? How much we have to struggle to keep the mind and try to hear one mantra or one name after the other. How much struggle do we have to do? What kind of tapasya we have to perform? But Haridas Thakur was chanting so many, 3 times 64 rounds. 3 times meaning loudly, silently, and in the mind. So, practically almost whole day. He was just chanting. He had so much taste for chanting. That's an acharya. And he taught others. There are his instructions, how to chant, how not to be offensive towards holy name, towards devotees, towards the process, how to gain the best ability to chant and understand what chanting is. So that's an acharya who is teaching and showing example by, so achar and prachar. So since today is such an important day, for that reason we are remembering practically the most important, one of the most important acharyas, which was so essential for us to practice this process. And this is the process of Hari Nam. Okay, so we'll remind ourselves a little bit what we discussed last Thursday. So that was text 30 in Bhagavad Gita. As we said, this is 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga. Krishna is saying, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Okay, is there anyone who remembers anything? Anyone who remembers anything that we discussed last time? Yeah, well. Anyone? Okay.
The greatest feeling, the worst feeling which the human being has is the fear of being alone.
Okay. Well, what was that in context to what?
That's so that we are getting depressed. If we see Krishna everywhere,
Okay,
then
you see
we will not
Krishna.
be depressed because we will see Krishna.
Okay, I was talking about loneliness.
Loneliness.
Feeling of loneliness. This is what I've been talking about. Even though we might be surrounded by billions of people, but if we can't open our mind and we don't have trust and we don't know who we are and what is the goal of life, then we will face a lot of purification difficulties in our life, even spiritual life. No. So that's why we have to see Krishna everywhere and develop relationship with Krishna. That's something that's everlasting. Okay, so what did I say? What did you want to say? Did I say?
Good loneliness, that if we see Krishna everywhere, then we will not be lonely.
Okay. So we can associate with Krishna because Krishna is where? Everywhere. No. Yes.
Yes, he is everywhere.
But more specifically, what is relevant to us? What's important to us? He is everywhere. So what? He is everywhere. Can you access him? Then?
Hearing about him.
No. Yes, but yes.
Through association of devotees.
No.
Very last time you said that a Vaishnava sees through his ears.
That's a different thing. Paramatma, he's there in your heart.
Sarvasvacham, that's English.
Jai. He's in your heart. He's everywhere, but he's also in your heart. How much more closer he should be, and can he be? No? Okay, any other points? So we can continue today's verse. Any other points here last time? Yes?
So yogi knows his position and his destination.
Yogi knows his position
And his destination.
and his destination. Okay, yes, we all know our destination. We know it's very clear. The way you practice, the result you're going to be gaining, it's all very clear. Okay. So yogi sees Krishna everywhere. This whole chapter talks about the yogis and the topmost yogis. Position of the yogi. What is it? Now he has to have eyes ointed with a salve of love. Because how do we perceive Krishna? We perceive it through love. Then Krishna will become visible and manifested. Not by any force, not by any mechanical process. Okay, anything else? Any other point? Yes.
Even devotee can be happy in Swarga and Naraga because he sees Krishna's everywhere.
Okay, devotee can be anywhere, doesn't matter where, if he's Krishna conscious, okay? So external conditions are not so important. For us, they are. For us, they are. But somebody who is more advanced, it doesn't matter. Because they're always with Krishna. Wherever there might be, if Krishna is there, that is spiritual world. No? That is spiritual world. But then we already said Krishna is always there with us as Paramatma. So you can always be in spiritual world. You just have to learn that science, how to connect to Krishna. How to purify yourself to be able to connect to Krishna, and be connected to Krishna, and remain connected to Krishna. Simple. It's actually very simple. Spiritual world is right here, right now. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to take this, what's his name, Aditya 2 or something. What's his name? Chandra, whatever it is. Whatever they're sending. We don't have to use any mechanics or machines or this and that and go here and there. No, Krishna is right here, right now. No. Okay, anyway, huh? I didn't answer that. Don't divert the topic. Who cares? Focus on the essence. Okay, let's read today's verse. Sarva bhuta stitam vyoma bhajati ekatvam arshtitaha. Sarvata Vartamano Pi Api Sayogi Mai Vartate. Okay, translation and report. Oh, it's a long report. Okay. By His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipable service of the Super Soul, knowing that I and the Super Soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Report. A yogi who is practicing meditation on the Super Soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu, with 4 hands holding conch shell, lip club, and lotus flower. The yogi should know that Vishnu is no different from Krishna. Krishna in this form of Super Soul is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable Super Souls present in the innumerable hearts of living entities, nor is there a difference between a Krishna conscious person, always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the Super Soul. So it's 2 points here. Anybody who is practicing process to attain Krishna, in Krishna's eyes, it's equal. I just, 2 days back, I came across one statement of Srila Prabhupada. He points out that there is no difference in this process, in this service or that service. It doesn't matter. He wrote a letter to one of the earlier sannyasis. He said, why some people are stressing this service is more important, that service is more important. I mean, Prabhupada sometimes would say this service, but it's time, place, and circumstance. But in that letter, he clarified that devotees should not be, arguing with each other and overpowering each other for the sake of this service or the sake of some other service. Every service is important. Every service is important. And Krishna sees everyone's service and values everyone's service equally. Of course, depending on their surrender, depending on how much they apply themselves to that service. That is what is important. So in the same way, anyone who is attaining or trying or attempting to attain Krishna in whichever way, whichever process, bona fide process, of course, then they're on equal level. They're on equal level. And on the other side, any expansion of Krishna to respond to that kind of endeavor, because we discussed that earlier, whichever way we approach Krishna, Krishna responds in such a way. Let's say we want certain, we have certain objective of Krishna in a particular form, in performing particular pastime, in a particular setup. We are attracted to that because that's our Svarupa, because that's our bhav, that's our original position, relationship with Krishna. Then Krishna will manifest himself in such a way. No, like we know, the different forms. Somebody likes Lord Ramachandra, somebody likes Vishnu, somebody likes Nrsimhadev, somebody likes Vamandev, somebody likes Balaram, somebody likes whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all Krishna. It's all the same personality of Godhead, but he'll just manifest himself in different way to respond to particular bhav of his devotee. So they're all same. They're not different. It doesn't matter. So this is what is pointed out here. All the different portions and expansions, they're all the same. It doesn't matter. It's just different particular rasa that is drawn from it and manifested within it. And then therefore there is also no difference between those who practice spiritual process. So the yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. That's also interesting. Even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence. So this is not only a yogi who leaves everything and goes to Himalaya. And like I said, it's covered by ash and smoking ash. It's not that type of yogi. Keeping himself warm. Or any other type of yogi. It's not. The yogi means one who is Krishna conscious, one who performs his activities and connects them to Krishna. That's a yogi. That's what means yoga. No, yoga means linking. Yoga means connection. No, that's what means yogi. Just one who just sits in asana and meditates or does whatever, something. Maybe has some mystic powers or this and that. So whatever one may be engaged with, but remains always situated in Krishna. So there are different types of samadhis. That's very interesting. I mean, that's a different discussion now. There are different types of samadhis. One step before samadhi, it's pratyahara, cessation of senses, withdrawing all the senses. And then dhyana, dharana, withdrawing the mind also, concentration of the mind, and then full samadhi, meaning one doesn't have any external consciousness. There's no basic point, there is no external consciousness. By the strict definition, this is what we're discussing now, dhyana yoga. So when we talk about dhyana yoga, when one follows this Ashtanga process, 8 limbs of yoga, well, the devotional service also has 8 limbs, whatever. Similar symptoms. But then there is no external consciousness. And then samadhi, it's internal. Because yogi, what? He looks in the, like Hanuman. Looks into the heart, He rips it off his heart, and who is inside? Sitaram, no? Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. No, there's Hanuman. It's doing this. We have like that photo we have on the altar. You just put it here, and then you do like this, and then the photo comes out and says Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. So externally, he's not externally absolutely unconscious externally, but he's conscious internally. That's samadhi. That is samadhi. But that's not the samadhi that Prabhupada talks about. What about that? Because it's a different process, a little bit different process. Because one can be in samadhi, like Parikshit Maharaj was in samadhi. There's so many, Dhruva Maharaj was in samadhi. There's so many different devotees, they have been in samadhi, but they were doing something else. They were not focusing inwardly. Or somebody who, Haridas Thakur, he was in samadhi. Or when Prabhupada said, even when you cook, you can be in samadhi. So what is samadhi? Samadhi is a matter of consciousness. Samadhi is a matter of consciousness. So it's not necessary, let's say, okay, you're cooking. You can be driving also. You can be in the samadhi. You can be. What means samadhi? Samadhi means being Krishna conscious. So you're doing something with full Krishna consciousness. This is what it said here. This is what we read. Engaged in various activities while engaged in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. So there are different levels of samadhi. Different levels of samadhi. How those can be divided? They can be divided in various manners. Basic 4 types: karma, jnana, dhyana, and bhakti. You know that? Huh? Akshobhya, you knew that? Huh? You knew that? No? Yes, I'm telling you now. Learn something. So samadhi it's differently perceived, it's differently manifested in those different processes. So what does one sacrifice? What does one renounce? What does one give up in all these different processes? So one, it's fruit of the work, that's in karma. In jnana, it's on intellectual level. So one gives up different things. Anyway, bhakti, it's everything practically. In dhyana, it's also different emotional, mental conceptions. So the samadhi can be perceived in different manner. But then again, in karma yoga, samadhi, it's on performing work and activity, connecting it to Krishna. That can be perfect samadhi. And then in jnana, intellectual understanding, cultivation of knowledge in connection to Krishna. One can be in full samadhi. You can read Srimad Bhagavatam and be in full samadhi. Of course, that kind of jnana, that's a jnana yoga. That's bhakti already. Yeah. And then dhyana, what it means meditation. Like we pointed out several times, what did Krishna ask Arjuna to do? Arjuna asked him to perform all these processes. It's not that all these processes are separated processes. It means karma is different, jnana is different, then we get confused which one we should practice. Maybe dhyana we should do, maybe we should do Ashtanga yoga like this, or maybe what about bhakti, it's also mentioned, what about these? Krishna said you do all of those. All of those for my pleasure. How do you do all of those? Krishna said fight. Of course we don't fight, we do whatever it's our conditional nature. That we have to find out what it is. But it's our conditional position according to Varna and Ashram. And then we do that. For Arjuna, because that's easier for us to follow, because that's what Bhagavad Gita presents to us. So Arjuna was fighting on the order of Krishna. So he was fighting, so that's karma yoga. Then, with mind and intelligence fixed on me. But even before that, Krishna said, fight with knowledge. Fight with proper understanding for right cause. That's jnana. And then mind and intelligence fixed on me, that's dhyana. That's a meditation, that's a focus. You have to be really focused. And then what is bhakti? For my pleasure. So everything is included. So there are different types of samadhis. So one can be full in samadhi, and that's what bhakti means. It includes all the other processes. Vedeshu yagyeshu tapasu chayya daneshu yat punyam phalam pratishta manyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upayati chalya. It includes all the other processes, everything. And on top of that, Krishna says, you will come back to me, to the spiritual world. Practicing just other process, you won't get that. Not guaranteed. But if you perform bhakti, that means, I say, Krishna Kapriti or something, for the pleasure of Krishna, no? If you do anything for pleasure of Krishna, then you will attain Krishna. Okay, this is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami. Nikhilas apiyavas tasu jiva mukta sauchate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. So it's not that we have to wait to leave this body and then you will become liberated. No, right now you can be liberated right now. If you follow this process. It's not that you will get results. Sometimes in the future, maybe yes, it may happen. It will manifest. No, right here, right now, you can become liberated. You have to practice the process. You have to take to the process. In Narad Pancharatra, this is confirmed in this way. Dikkaladi anavachine Krishna cheto vidhayacha tanmayo bhavati kshipram jiva brahmane yojayet. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all-pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. So fully focusing on Krishna's transcendental form, which is all-pervading beyond time and space, but just being absorbed in Krishna, constantly thinking Krishna, 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 Krishna. I go. So by being in that state, one attains a happy state. That's a happy state of transcendental association with him. So Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. So this is the highest form of yoga. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas, Gopal Thakur and Upanishad confirm that this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Confirm this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Ekopi san bahuda yo vabhati. All that the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts as many. So what does that mean? Like sometimes example is given of the moon, which is reflected on different surface of water. No? Then you may think there's so many moons, but it's one moon. It's just reflected. So Krishna's presence like this is reflected in everyone's heart. And it's there personally also. One analogy, it's not perfect, but Krishna's presence is perfect. Similarly, in the Smriti Shastra, it is said, a lot of Sanskrit in this. Eka eva paro Vishnu sarva vyapi asamshaya aishwaryad rupam ekam cha suryavat bhavudheyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere, as the sun appears in many places at once. That's another interesting analogy. So many people see the sun, even at different places, but it's one. It's only one sun. Okay, our time is running. Any questions or comments on this? Commentaries next time. Any questions or comments on this verse? Yes. Can you come here? Just for sake of those online, they can hear the question. Yeah, that's what I'm giving you. Oh,
Recently, I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam in one of the
there's some
Purposeful-
turbulence going on.
Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that although there are many expansions of the Lord, but one has to focus his attention on Krishna only. So, I mean, you said about that we relate to different expansions with regards to our bhava. So how will we know that? And second thing is like why Prabhupada is stressing on focusing on Krishna only. I mean,
Okay.
and one more question.
Agreed. Okay, why stressing on Krishna? Because Krishna includes everything else. If you can get everything, you can get a package deal with everything. Why would you worry about so many separate things? So if you can immediately get package deal, which includes everything else, wouldn't that be a better option? Anyway, think about it. Like you have to download some softwares, this and that, and then you get one which includes everything else, and you don't have to keep on uploading and downloading every now and then. No, let's finish the business at once. So in the same way, Krishna includes everything else, like Madhurya Rasa includes all the other rasas. You don't have to worry about this and that and that. Of course, if you are satisfied with one certain option or position, then it's okay. Then we don't have to focus on it. We can focus on someone else and be satisfied with that. If we are satisfied, and of course, those who are in different rasas, they will be satisfied with it. But if we come here and practice this process, I already said, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is predominantly in Madhurya and Sakya. So then, why focusing on something else? Then we better focus on Krishna.
Initially, we should focus on Krishna. Later on, we'll realize which power we.
That's also there. We just focus on Krishna, and whatever your svabhava is, it will be manifest.
Course of time.
In due course of time, it will be manifest. You'll be very clear. This is actually my Lord, whoever that is, and we'll be focused on that relationship. Okay. What's the other question?
In Vedic scriptures we find mention of various devotees in different yogas. So it is mentioned that they were practicing devotional service, but we know from the Shastras that different yugas have different processes of worship of Krishna. So, I mean, first question is like, can those who are performing so much of tapasya, jnana yoga, karma yoga, and other kind of processes, will they still be counted in bhakti?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
and yeah, and second is like, is all this four processes?
Vishnu Bhakti, Vaikuntha, they can also go, doesn't matter. It's all
So,
Bhakti.
all these four processes which you told before, is all these four simultaneously existing in every yoga? Or is it like
Bhagavad Gita is always present. All the processes exist. Some are more predominant, some are less predominant. Like in Satya, mostly it was meditation. But again, it's accompanied by other limbs of other processes. Hey Kanish, maybe you could enlighten him. Come here. Come here. Chela, come here. Ale Baba, come. We are wasting time. Come here. Fast. Ale, fast. Speak in the mic. Enlighten us.
Hare Krishna?
Saturday, Sunday, we go into last three. Please, everyone should come. Because when we go into last three, we will talk on these subjects, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and this Bhakti Yoga. So that will be more, it will be more easy to understand this subject.
In a practical way.
Yeah, practical way. To watch the cows and see the cows, Lord Jagannath. We have a very big swimming pool. Yeah, very big Prashadam also will be there. So Prabhuji also will be there in that trip, 2 days. So we request every youth, please come there. And that on that trip we will realize this Jitesh was pointing out. So
Yeah, but his question was, what about different yogas? There was no farm in different yogas. That was his question, no?
there is no farm.
Yeah. There was no farm in Satya Yoga.
Still Maharaj did tapasya.
They were all doing tapasya.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you for your contribution. Okay, any other questions? No? Somebody has a question. Yes.
You were mentioning that.
See, every yoga. Okay, let's clarify this. Every yoga, every process is predominant. There's a certain process that is predominant process, and there is a certain class and section and type of people that is predominant, but that doesn't exclude others. Okay, is that clear? So similarly in Kali Yoga, we also do deity worship, we also meditate, we also do karma yoga, we do so, but predominantly what do? We chant the holy name. That's the most powerful thing. Okay, so something is more predominantly manifest and something is less, but it's not excluded.
Is it the same case with the acharyas? Like Haridas Thakur mostly represented Prabhuji?
That's why you follow process and follow the latest acharya, who is telling you in the present time what you should be doing. That's why it's acharya. Otherwise, there's no need of acharya. Why would there be an acharya if you just follow the process? Acharyas come according to time, place, circumstance to present how the process should be practiced. No? Exemplifying the teaching, yes. And setting up the teachings also, adjusting the teachings or pointing out what is most prominent and essential at this point from the teachings. Yes.
In the beginning, you were mentioning that in Kali Yuga, when Rakshasas are born in the families of Brahmanas.
Yes. You felt hurt or something? I apologize to you. Just, what's the question?
And also, it is mentioned Kali Yuga, Kali Shudra Sambhava. In Kali Yuga, everybody is like.
Yes. Even Brahma was not born as a Brahmin, was initiated. That's the point.
So, and also like, but on the other hand, in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned one who performs devotional service, he is born in the next life in the families of Brahmanas.
Prapya punyam kritam loka ushita. One who doesn't complete. But if you follow what we read in this purport, Rupa Goswami is saying, you're serious, then you're liberated right here, like right now. There's no next birth. We just read it in the purport.
So one may conclude from this that one who was born in Brahmana family, he has done some devotional service in the past.
Okay.
So he is like some sort of pious or devotional.
Yeah, but not excluded.
You are saying that Rakshasas are born in the family.
Yeah, so they did something pious, but not devotional. Brahmana just doesn't mean devotional. Brahmana means the one who knows the Brahman. Vaishnava means who knows the Vishnu, which is source of Brahman. Brahmana hi pratishtaham. No. So Vaishnava is therefore higher because he knows both. So Brahman one can be pious, but Vaishnava one is devotional. So Brahman can be a Vaishnava, but Vaishnava not necessarily has to be a Brahman because it's higher than Brahman.
So these two statements are not contradictory. That
they're not contradictory because it's not on the absolute level that everyone is born like this or born like that. It depends on your spiritual credit, not on material credit, which is punya. Punya, I refer, of course, punya can be also taken as bhakti, but there are different types of punya. So I'm talking about material punya. By material punya, you can become a Brahman or be born in Brahman family, but not being qualified as Brahman unnecessary. Just by punya, you can be born.
but punya can take birth in Brahmana family.
Yes.
And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says if you follow this path of devotional service,
Okay.
even if you don't complete it, then you will get a chance to be born in Brahmana.
Yeah, but what kind of devotional path? That means one who is kanishta level. That means one who is not as serious, as committed, as dedicated. Then he will be born, not necessarily in Brahman, it can be born in Vaishya. Prabhupada talks about himself, I've been born in a very nice family. He gives his own example. So it's not necessarily, it's not absolute that it has to be a Brahmin family. It can be influential or affluent or aristocratic family. That's also there. Okay? Okay, anything else? Time is over.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you
Okay,
mentioned
Srila. Did I?
that
Where are you? Okay, Bola.
Prabhuji, you mentioned there are different types of samadhi. How many exactly?
Different types of samadhi. Yeah, I pointed at different types of samadhi according to different processes. That means
So are there
absorption
4
in
or 8?
particular. 4.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. It's technical, unnecessary detail. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.